David Korn is journalist bij Model Jones. Hij is bureau chief. David, welcome.
Good to be with you.
Yes, thank you for traveling from Washington, where you live, to New York. First of all, what did you think of the speech of Joe Biden?
It was a normal speech. It was a speech without petty grievances. It was a speech without lies. It was a speech without attacking half of America and inciting people and demonizing people. It was a speech about his vision for the country, not about himself. In every way possible, it was an anti-Trump speech.
He didn't mention the name.
Without mentioning Trump. He didn't attack Trump. He didn't attack anyone. I mean, if you listen to Trump, the last speeches of his campaign rally, what did Trump do? He attacked Lady Gaga, LeBron James, the greatest basketball player, John Bon Jovi, the rocker. He would get out there and talk about how these people were mean to him. And then he was talking about how if you voted for Joe Biden, you'd have left-wing mobs destroying America, socialism, destroying America. Donald Trump demonized half of America. He thought that was his way to win. Joe Biden, what did he do in his speech? How can we come together to deal with the challenges that face us?
Okay.
It's a black and white difference.
It was a 20 minutes to half an hour speech. First was Kamala Harris on the stage in Wilmington. Let's have a look at a second part of the speech, which I think was key to what he wanted to say to the American people.
Yeah.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States. And work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people, to win the confidence of all of you. And for that is what America, I believe, is about. It's about people. And that's what our administration will be all about.
Joe Biden, is this what he wants to do? Build bridges with those who didn't vote for him, the Trump voters?
Yes, that's what he has said explicitly. He says he wants to reach out to other people. He wants to reach out to Republicans in Congress and try to deal with things. I think the open question is whether Republicans will take that hand. We know when,
what do you think?
Well, when Obama was elected, Mitch McConnell said openly that the success of his party was dependent on him blocking and thwarting Barack Obama. And we see yet no Republican senators except for Mitt Romney coming out and congratulating or stating that they want to work with Joe Biden.
You say, I mean, he's building this bridge and you think that it maybe could work. But at this moment, while we're talking, almost 70 million people who voted for Trump feel disenfranchised. And the president has decided that he wants to go to court and start court cases, the Supreme Court as well. Let's have a look at what he said earlier this week, President Trump, about the legal fight that he's preparing starting this Monday.
I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us. If you count the votes that came in late, we're looking at them very strongly. But a lot of votes came in late. And this is a case where they're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election. And we can't let that happen.
The president, till at least the 20th of January, and he doesn't want to give up.
It's important to know that there have been no evidence presented of any significant fraud or irregularities. The Wall Street Journal conservative editorial page has called on Donald Trump, who they've supported all along, to concede. The New York Post, owned by Rupert Murdoch, like the Wall Street Journal, another conservative outlet, has done the same. Even people at Fox News, another conservative outlet owned by Rupert Murdoch, have started saying it's time for Trump to talk about and to protect his legacy. The court cases that they've brought forward have either been about small matters, they've been resolved or thrown out by judges. There is no legal case here. Now, he can go to court and spend time filing things, but the networks, including Fox News, have said it's clear who won this. So he can have a tantrum, and he will. He will not go easily. The one thing we know about Donald Trump is that he can't rise above himself and his pettiness. And that's not going to start now. So what Joe Biden is doing, he's announced already that he's putting together a COVID task force to work on dealing with the pandemic and get everything in place so when he lands on January 20th, he can go. And he can talk to Republicans and see if they're going to help him with this or not. Some might be amenable to working with him. Others might be so afraid of the Donald Trump base that they won't. And in that case, 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. 75 million people voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's a divided country, and as president, the same way that Donald Trump has had to deal with a divided country, Joe Biden will have to find a path forward.
And it still is, right? I mean, this is a divided country. It doesn't help yet that Joe Biden is the next president of the United States. It will be divided.
Yeah, that's not going away. There are some fundamental dynamics to the American political culture that are not going to change. Now, if Joe Biden gets out there, maybe he can win over a small margin, of the Trump base or the Trump constituency. But this is, Donald Trump got a lot of things done that I think were terrible. Tax cuts for the wealthy, taking us out of the climate change Paris Accord, attacking pre-existing conditions for healthcare, for people with healthcare. He did a lot in a divided country. Joe Biden has already laid out how he wants to rejoin the climate change. He can do that on the first day, go back to the World Health Organization. So there's a lot Joe Biden can do.
But David, let's talk about the possibility, because this is a real possibility, that Donald Trump doesn't want to give up and goes to court and fights the president-elect Joe Biden and the vice president.
No,
what will happen then?
He can't fight them. If states certify the counts that are coming in, and then no state has questioned the counts.
Right.
In Georgia, good example, Republican Secretary of State. We accept these results. There will be a recount, probably because it's close, but no one out there. There's nobody at the state level in charge who's saying anything. So in America, you can go to court. You can file a case. These cases are unlikely to go anywhere. Donald Trump put out a call for Republican lawyers to help him.
Right.
No one came forward.
Well,
Rudy Giuliani, only the people on his side.
Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of this city, New York.
Yeah, but
he is the chief of the legal team of Donald Trump. Let's have a look what he said on Saturday. This is what he had to say about the legal fight.
The people of this city, people of this country, have no assurance at all that those ballots were actually cast. They would have to have been almost unanimously cast for Joe Biden in order to catch up.
Rudolph Giuliani, the chief lawyer of the team of the president. Many people on the Trump side believe what he says, and they believe that there is illegal ballots floating around in this process.
They are doing a disservice. There is no evidence of illegal ballots. Now, when they get to court, there have been some cases already where judges have said, what's your evidence? And they haven't provided it. So when they get to court, they will have to put up or shut up. They can say anything they want now. Donald Trump can lie about things all the time, which he has done, according to the Washington Post, over 22,000 times as president. Rudy Giuliani, just last week, was saying that the Biden family knocks off, we know what that means, knocks off business associates they don't like. So he's been out there, he's been working with Russian disinformation agents to try to cook up a conspiracy theory about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in Ukraine. So he is not credible. At this point, they can say whatever they want, Tuan, but they're going to have to prove it in court. And so far, there's nothing there. The disservice they're doing to the nation at large is trying to convince people who will accept these conspiracy theories as legitimate, when even Fox News and the Wall Street Journal won't accept this stuff.
Are you, because that's if a Trump supporter listens to you today, they will say David Corn is a biased journalist who is helping Joe Biden and hating Donald Trump.
Right. That's where they are. And
what do you say? If you get that?
I would say read the Wall Street Journal story on the Hunter Biden conspiracy scandal. They went through it and they found nothing. Look at what the courts are going to say. Look at evidence yourself. Don't get it off Facebook. Don't get it off Twitter. Read the judge's decisions and just think critically. Right now they're saying there's a conspiracy that rigged the election. Well, first ask for proof, but then think about it this way. They rigged the election to only hurt Donald Trump. The Republicans did well elsewhere. So why didn't they knock off the Senate as well? Why did they only worry about mail-in ballots and didn't rig the election for the ballots cast on Election Day? Think critically.
You have been on the Washington beat, on the political beat, for over 30 years.
Don't remind me.
But it's true. It's a long time. Have you ever experienced a situation like this, what has happened last week?
Well, in Florida in 2000, we had a lot of back and forth.
Al Gore and George W.
Al Gore
Bush.
and George W. Bush. We've never had a president come out and act like a strongman thug, an authoritarian, and say, I really won, which is what Trump did. This is a fraudulent process, without producing a shred of evidence, saying there's fraud and I won. That's what happens in, banana republics and dictatorships. Even Republicans, even conservative commentators. There's a guy named Ben Shapiro. I don't know if people pay attention to him in Holland, but he's a leading conservative commentator here. I disagree with Ben on basically everything. He came out and said that speech was atrocious. So you got to think about it. Here is the president who's in charge of our democracy coming out and lying about the election, saying it was fraudulent, and even conservative commentators like Ben Shapiro say he is doing a disservice to the country. That is how far he has gone to the extreme, because he's acting like a pathological narcissist who can't absorb the idea that he's lost. And what happened on Saturday, the day that it was called for him, the day that we have an upsurge in COVID fatalities here.
Over 130,000 cases a day.
And over 1,000 deaths. What does Donald Trump do? He claims that the election is being stolen from him and democracy is being destroyed and COVID is raging. He goes and he plays golf. This is not a serious man. It is not a serious... If he believed that the election was being taken from him fraudulently, then why isn't he there producing evidence? And if he cares about this country, why isn't he working day and night to do something about COVID?
For the first time, we saw a Biden gathering today, where there were a lot of people. There was no social distancing. I didn't see any masks.
Well, in the crowd or the...
In the crowd. Was this a responsible gathering today for the president-elect?
Well, you mean at the speech?
Exactly, at speech.
At speech?
Yeah.
Well, it's a drive-in. People are there. They're in their boxes.
We saw also many people who were standing very close to each other.
Well,
so.
if they came as a family and friends who are potting together, I mean, I wasn't there.
I'm just saying because the Democrats accuse the president of, you are having these irresponsible meetings and now aren't they doing the same?
Well, no. The big accusation against the president is that he had a responsibility to tell all citizens, including those who support him, wear masks and social distance. And if he had started doing that in February and March, we'd be so much further ahead of getting control of this pandemic. In fact, he has derided, he has made fun of, he has mocked mask wearing, and his whole presidential team has said, has not encouraged that. Yeah. So that example, and then he went and held these events, one after another. I mean, Joe Biden's been out there, he's been wearing masks, and he's been telling people to do it. I wasn't there tonight. I don't know how far apart people were. If they weren't social distancing, they weren't wearing masks, that's wrong. But that's not what Joe Biden has been telling people to do for the last 6 months.
Listen, there is a new president-elect. According to the system in America, he will be the next president, and there is a historical element to his choice for vice president, Kamala Harris. First black woman in that position.
First woman
in
that position. It was. I think it was a gutsy move for Joe Biden to pick her. She didn't run a great campaign as president, but she's been a great, feisty, aggressive, assertive senator. And I think she generated some energy. She's smart as a whip, as we say here. So I think the fact, and he knows, having been vice president to Barack Obama for 8 years, he knows what he wants in a vice president. So they looked like they forged a team together very well, very quickly. And I think it is entirely historic. This is a great moment for America to finally have a woman in one of the 2 top jobs in the country.
You look like a happy man. One more question. Reporting on politics in Washington without President Donald Trump, won't your life be very boring the next coming years?
Well, it wasn't boring in the Obama years. It wasn't boring in the Bush years. There's always something going on. I do think that Donald Trump has reprogrammed our brains a bit. With his 20 crises and tweets and scandals, and misleading statements a day, everybody was helter-skelter, running around like on a hamster wheel,
Right.
and not really able to focus on things individually for too long in time. I think a little bit of boredom would be good for the country, and even be good for journalists. We can dig into things a little bit more and not be whipped around by Donald Trump's crazy, often psychologically nutty tweets.
David Corn, thank you so much for coming to New York, especially from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks.